Welcome to the Jeremy and Andy Talk Movies podcast. I'm Jimmy.
I am also Jimmy. We are all Jimmy.
How's that? Uh, Andy, we talked. I was going to do an intro, and then I realized that today we're talking about a movie that is the sequel, a follow up to a movie that came out last year.
Yeah.
And and I'm pretty sure that movie I asked the same intro question, which is how do you think you'd fare in a zombie apocalypse? Which I guess we don't have to discuss again because I think we already talked about it. But so I guess I'll ask this question. Andy, how do you think you would do if you accidentally got inducted into a Satanist cult?
You know, I I don't know if I would get inducted as easily as poor Spike does in this movie, but I think I would just take off. Like just take off. It's these guys are living in a free range world. Just do what you want. You don't even have to wear clothes. Nobody does in this movie. So I just take off. I take my chances with Samson.
Yeah. If there's anything that these 28 days, weeks, months, the 28 series does really well, it's make you feel like zombies might be better than humans.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? I'd also too
Yeah,
like I've learned from this movie. Just I don't know if this only applies to zombies, but just dye yourself with iodine. Just see what happens.
that's
It
true.
seems I don't know. Maybe it's only for zombies, but I think I may just try it and see if it helps just in life in general.
Right. Couldn't hurt. I mean, iodine's safe for your skin,
Yeah,
right? I mean, the
it's
movie
fine.
seems to make it think it is, and I trust the movies.
I trust the movies.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've said it clearly yet, but we are talking about 28 years later, The Bone Temple, which is a
Yeah.
mouthful to say, and I don't know, I guess shocked shouldn't be the right word, but because as movie people, we get this a lot where people ask us, like, oh, what are you going to see? And I tell them, and they're like, oh, I've never heard of that. But I'm a little shocked that I said this, and people are like, I've never heard of such a thing. And I'm like, well, it's a series of movies, and they're still like, yeah, I've never heard of them.
Yeah. Also, let's just go ahead and discuss this. They had to know people would make fun of the name the Bone Temple, right?
Yes, you would
Because
think so.
I don't think I've told one person that I was going to go see the Bone Temple, and I didn't at the least get like a like that kind of thing, or at least like a one of these,
Some kind of face,
if not just an outright
for
like
sure.
someone would laugh in my face.
Right.
So
So yeah, I I told you right before we started. I'm going no notes on this one. So I'm going to try to give a summary of this movie, which is one of the hardest movies to summarize that I've ever attempted to summarize. So this could go
I'm
very poorly, Andy.
I'm just along for the ride. I can't wait.
All right. So 28 years later, the Bone Temple continues the events that happened in 28 years later. Yes, following Spike, the young man whose mother passed away in the first movie, and
Hmm.
Spike has been sort of adopted by a group of survivors who are Satanists who all call themselves Jimmy.
Yeah,
And he does not enjoy being with these people. As it turns out, they are psychotic murderers, not just of zombies, but of humans who are living. This intertwines with the story of the doctor from the last movie, played by Ray Fiennes, who is just having a great time hanging out stoned with a zombie.
yeah.
And eventually, these two groups collide, and it really is a surprisingly small movie about the conflict between the Satanist cult of murderers and this doctor and poor Spike being stuck in between,
Yeah,
while zombie stuff's kind of going on the peripheral.
kind of. Yeah,
Yeah. That's I tell a lot of people it's a zombie apocalypse movie, kind of.
yeah,
But Andy,
yeah.
we were both very mixed or very mid on 28 years later. So I'm very curious to hear what you're going to say. Was 28 years later the Bone Temple good?
No, I didn't like this, Jeremy. I haven't quite landed on whether I liked it less than 28 years later or not, but I just did not care for this movie at all.
This movie, the word that I keep coming to is audacious. And it's not even
Yeah.
a word I use very often.
Hmm.
But I'm kind of with you. I kind of lean towards this isn't a good movie because for a lot of the movie, I was just like, what is this?
What is
Why are they
happening?
making this?
It's
What is
weird, man.
happening? This is so weird, so bizarre. But to its credit, I guess, I will say it's really well made once again. It's really well acted.
Hmm.
I kind of can't believe the courage that they have to make a zombie apocalypse movie that is this and this weird. And so
Yeah.
audacious is the word I keep going back to. And again, I don't even know if I'm being complimentary or not when I say that. I'm just really impressed. I don't know what the budget was on this movie, but it had to be decent size. It's just a really well made movie that I can't believe got made
Yeah.
because of how weird it is.
It's really weird. It almost feels like a deleted scene from the last movie just stretched out to an hour and 50 minutes. Like it feels like this
Yes,
really
it
random like
does.
side story that they just made a full-length movie out of.
You're exactly right. It feels. I actually was thinking that this feels very episodic, like something that would be on a Netflix series.
Hmm. Yeah, it feels
And
like the fourth episode of a eight episode series.
yeah, and honestly, kind of like the episode where they're like, let's have kind of a weird, like you're saying, side adventure. You know,
Hmm.
in Stranger Things, there's the famous Eleven goes off and meets these other
Yeah,
kids
the Lost
episode that just
Sister.
feels
Yeah,
different than everything else. Yeah, that most people are like, what the heck was that episode? That was another. That's kind of what this whole movie feels like. Is
yeah,
like an episode that's just sort of like, what's going on? Because as I said, this continues the story of Spike, who was our main character of the first movie of 28 years later. This
hmm.
young man, played by, is it Alfie Williams? I think is the young
I
actor's
believe
name.
that's correct. Yeah,
And we talked about what a good job he did. This movie is his movie very much in just sort of perspective only.
hmm.
He does not have a lot to do.
He
This
has
is
nothing to
very
do.
much, yeah, this is very much a Jack O'Connell as Jimmy and Ray Fiennes as the doctor. That's their movie.
Yeah,
And so that's what I mean by this sort of like side quest thing. It's like this is Spike's story as far as I guess they're planning on making this a trilogy. This is the second of three that they're planning, and I guess it's sort of Spike's trilogy. But I don't know. They just shift perspective really drastically, and they don't really bother with a reason for it. They're just like, "Yeah, we just want to tell these people's story now. Spike's there, don't worry." But
really,
we're about these other guys.
really, really strange. It's really strange that this movie is so much centered on this cult, and they just kind of like were, I don't want to say shoehorned. They just came out of nowhere at the end of 28 years later. And then in this movie, I mean, this movie just opens on this cult doing cult things. And we are just supposed to jump right in. And it feels like we're trying to jump in on a car, in a moving car that's flying past us. We got no introduction to this cult or these people or their motivations or anything. So it's asking a lot of, the audience to be along for this ride.
Yeah. In some ways, it's very obvious that it's the same writer for both movies. Different
Mm,
director.
yeah.
So the first one was Danny Boyle on the set. This one is what's her name? Nia DaCosta.
Yeah.
But it's Alex Garland writing both, and you would not be blamed for thinking that this has different writers for the first one and the second one. Now
It
there are
feels
things
like,
that are similar in that it's got that sort of distinct Alex Garland, like I'm not going to do what you expect. I'm going to do stuff a little different, and my story's going to be
hmm.
about something totally different than you would expect.
Yeah.
But that said, like you said, that the cult at the end of the first one came in and it was like this total tonal shift, and they were like
Complete tonal.
cartoonish and Power Rangery is what we talked about. And then in this one, it takes that sort of that cartoonish part out of it, and they're weird for sure, but they are just menacing in this movie.
Yeah.
They're horror movie stuff. I don't even know if I suspected they were going to be the villains of this movie. I figured they were just like a team of weird cartoonish zombie slayers that Spike was going to like pal around with and learn to be a zombie slayer with. No, they're just crazy, scary, sadistic people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really hard, fast turn to take.
Yes, and yeah, it once again I because I usually respect these things. I usually respect movies
Hmm.
being like, "Hey, just go with it and expect you and you just trust the audience."
Yeah.
Because this movie does a lot of trust in the audience to just go with things. But that said, I mean, it's still just got to work. And and I'm still not sure how well it worked.
I'm not either, and I don't. We talk a lot about how we don't want movies to just be like cookie cutter and the same old thing that we've seen a million times. But this movie just has so many just odd, off-putting choices. Um, like, so everyone in this cult just wears blonde wigs. And I'm not saying that's the reason why this movie isn't good, but you're just like, well, this is weird. And then it's intercut with like you said, this is not any kind of big spoiler, Rafe Fiennes, and he's kind of trying to, I guess, like come up with a cure and help cure these zombies. And he's kind of formed this bond with Samson, the alpha infected. And so then it's like you're watching this cult like walk around and be weird in these weird blonde wigs. And then it cuts to Rafe Fiennes and this naked giant zombie guy slow dancing together. And you're just like, man, I am being asked to just soak in a lot of really weird things and really weird images right now.
that, that's a great way to summarize it. By the way, I feel like this is the point where I've joked with somebody. I was like, I feel like I need to do a PSA because, as I mentioned before here, like people don't know me. I am a teacher. A lot of my high school students know I do this podcast. Some of them listen. And I was telling one of my friends, I was like, this is a movie that after watching it, some of my students asked me what movie you're reviewing. And I told them this movie. I'm like, I almost want to tell them, no, I didn't review this movie. Don't bother watching the episode. Don't watch this movie. It is a very R-rated movie. This movie is violent and gross. And as you said, it's a lot of naked zombie guy. Like it is.
And they do not.
Yeah, I do not recommend this movie for general
No,
audiences.
the camera does not shy away from the nakedness of the zombies. We'll just say that and leave it there.
Yeah. But honestly, like this one does step up the violence. I mean, the
It
last one was
really
violent
does.
too. It had like Samson ripping a guy's spine out, but this one
Yeah.
just went further. And I think really, honestly, it's not even the zombie stuff, even though there's
It's
some
the
violence
cult.
there. It's the cult, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I,
their charity. They call torture charity.
Yeah, it's rough. And this movie also just does the thing, like we've talked about this before, like it's always a big swing when you make a movie and really nobody in your movie is very likable in any way. And this is kind of one of those movies. And you really have to be a master, filmmaker, I think, to make a movie like that watchable. And so that's another thing that this movie suffers from is everyone is either just really despicable, like the cult and stuff, or then people they give like little hero moments to, they still kind of make them look dumb. Like there's a scene where the Jimmies are like they're just like basically skinning people alive, and there's this lady that escapes and she's watching from the barn and she doesn't act until like they've already skinned all these people alive, and you're kind of just like, well, why did you just now try and start helping? And so I'm just saying, like, nobody is really like a hero of any kind in this movie, and it's just you're just spending a lot of time with bad people doing bad things.
You sure are. Uh, I want to go ahead and put a spoiler warning here, just because talking about
Yeah,
that scene made me want to get into some more details. And again, I don't think this is not a ton to spoil movie. As I said at the beginning, this is actually a really like simple movie. When I look
it's
back on
very
it, like
simple. Yeah.
not a ton happens,
Hmm.
but yeah. So that's sort of it's really almost like a pretty clear three act type
Hmm.
structure.
Yeah.
Um, and this second act for the cult crew is them dealing with this people who lived in like this farm community or something like that
Yeah.
that they just
Just kind of
impose their
like
way
random
into, and
like
then
show up.
they,
Yeah.
they yeah, and you see it from the perspective of that lady who was hiding in the barn, and this young guy who escapes some zombies. Another guy dies, and they get
Hmm.
back to their compound, and all the Jimmies are there with their blonde wigs hanging out, and
Yeah.
she's she's clearly like the leader or something, kind of outspoken. She's the one who's like, we don't want you here, and it's a very weird scene. I mean, he does the thing where he makes the one girl Jimmy get up and do the Teletubby dance, and it's just like everything is meant to make you feel so uncomfortable and awkward. And
Yeah.
then finally he's like, "Of course, you guys, we're gonna leave, but of course we're gonna have to kill you first." And then it's like goes crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and as you're saying, like at this point, I think that's the first point where I was like, okay, this guy is a bad guy. You're meant to know he's weird for
Right.
sure,
Right.
but you're not sure what kind of weird he is.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh no, you're just straight up bad guy. And you're right. And then we
Hmm.
get to this long scene of them. It doesn't show it all, but it's a lot of actually cutting back and forth to, hey, they're torturing people in this barn. Spike goes out and throws up because he can't handle it, and
Yeah.
that's where he befriends the one. It's hard to keep all those characters correct because they all just call themselves Jimmy and they're all wearing blonde wigs.
Blonde
But
Wigs, yeah. Couldn't tell
um,
you any of their names or anything.
yeah, so the one that kind of befriends Spike. That's all I can do is describe her as the one that befriends Spike
Yeah.
um, out there. And there's some cleverness in it. The thing I will say this is it's scary. Like
Hmm.
I don't know that the other 28 movies, I think they're all good and have like tense scenes. I don't know if there's been a scene as scary as like that scene and imagining being stuck with those Satanists. Like they're
Yeah,
scarier than any
it's
of the zombies.
yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. And you get the scene of him, Jack O'Connell's character, offering the last young guy like an opportunity. Like, you can join us if you can pick any of my Jimmies and beat him in a fight, then you'll
Yeah.
replace him. And he picks the girl, and you know anybody who's seen a movie can kind of see it coming. She's playing all like, oh shucks,
And of
and
course
then he like
she's
picks
like
her, and then
BA, yeah.
and she's like the most sadistic of them all. So
Yeah.
uh, she tortures him, and that's where you get the lady finally reacts because I guess she's supposed to have an emotional connection to this young guy. I don't necessarily say that she's like his son or anything, but I guess she's got an emotional connection, and she says she's gonna once she beats him in the fight. And Jack O'Connell says you can choose your charity for him, and she chooses what basically is like she wants to skin the lower half of him,
Yeah.
and that's when she swings the thing down. This is the one bit of filmmaking I didn't like because it always drives me nuts in a movie where there's like a really long, slow reaction to something that there would be a very quick, immediate reaction to in
Yeah.
real life. So from the camera angle, you can't tell what happens. You know, like
We've
she
already
does that
seen the
reaction, like, oh,
hook.
I got hit by something, yeah.
Yes.
And then it's like a long shot of her like slowly reacting, and then she falls down, and then all the other people are like, something's happened, and it's like,
Like
okay,
you
well,
all would have
everybody
seen
else
that hook
watching,
come.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
That
So
type of scene that you just described is very played out. We've seen that in plenty of movies.
yeah.
Yeah.
That said, where it goes from there, I thought was good. And then the guy crawls over and grabs the propane tank and just turns it into a
Can
flamethrower.
can you do propane tanks make that efficient of flamethrowers?
Probably not, but it looked cool.
It does look cool. I will give it that. That part does look cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the
And so
look of this movie is not the problem. Like it's a cool looking movie.
no. And it's, again, when you think back about like, what is this movie? It's like the slow falling apart of this Satanist group because
Yeah.
as you're watching, you're like, okay, that's two of them down right there. The girl got hit with
Mm,
the hook, guy who gets flamethrowed,
yeah.
and, you know, that's it. And then we move on to, you know, they eventually, the girl who befriends Spike had seen Ray Fiennes' character. I've got to look up his character's name because I don't know why I
Ian.
can't ever remember his
It's
character.
Ian.
Dr. Ian Kelson. Yeah, Ian.
Yeah.
So she sees Ian dancing with Samson in his bone temple, covered in his iodines, and he looks like
Yes.
Satan
Yeah.
in control of one of his demons. So I thought that was really clever. I was like, it is a good weaving these things together in collision of worlds because
It
because
is.
the main Jimmy played by Jack O'Connell has been building up all this BS, and his BS basically manifest in the Doctor
Yeah.
character from afar.
Yeah.
And it does become kind of an interesting. I do think that last act is mostly compelling, even if still feels like an episode of something out of Netflix. It doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
feel like a big grand movie, but it was compelling to me watching him show up and have a conversation with Dr. Ian Kelson because they are such total opposite characters, and it was both really good acting performances.
Yeah, absolutely. That's by far the best part of the movie is that scene with Jack O'Connell and Ray Fiennes. That's great.
Yeah. And then we get, you know, Spike tries to leave. One of the guys comes after him who was friends with the Jimmy whose place Spike took.
Yes.
And the girl who befriends him goes and catches up and kills him. So one more Jimmy down. Now we're down
Yeah.
to, you know, there's 5 total in the crew. And I don't know. It's just a weird, like, I didn't even realize that's what I was watching was just the slow dismantling of this crew. And
Hmm.
then we got to talk about the really bizarre scene. That's I'm still not sure if it's an amazing scene or a terrible scene, where Ray Fiennes is basically Jack O'Connor threatens him, like, "Hey, I've told him that you're Satan, and
Like
I
let's
need
let,
you to play the part." Okay, so as Ray Fiennes says, "Okay, let's turn this up to 11." So he plays on his record player Iron Maiden and puts on this crazy show, drugs them all a little bit or something, blows some kind of powder in their faces,
yeah.
and then it's like that's again. I think that's the first time the word audacious came to my mind because it's like this is like the climax of this movie, and it is this bizarre,
It's a
weird performative art scene. Yeah.
it's a big swing. It's a really big swing. And this is also a movie that, and this is always a tough kind of sell too. Like, this is a movie that really depends on a lot of people in the movie being stupid.
Mm.
Like, that was kind of just the impression I got. Like, you're watching this cult, and not that they were built up to be smart. I mean, they're obviously all nuts and everything, but they're just watching Ray Fiennes do this stuff. And yes, you're right. He's kind of like drugged them in a way, so you could make that as an excuse. But he's just like, like blowing fire around, and they're all like, oh. And I don't know that it was simultaneously kind of cool because it's Ray Fiennes just like going for it, like in a major way. But you're also like, wait a second, is this stupid and ridiculous? It was, I don't know, man. It may take me a little bit
Yeah.
more time to settle where I land.
I do think with that it was trying to play up like the Jack O'Connell character who's leading the Satanists is the oldest of the group by several years, or supposed to be,
Hmm.
and he was just a little child when the zombie apocalypse started. So I think that
Right.
it's basically essentially saying like, hey, these people are too young to know that these are very like basic tricks and like how this all works because they've just
Sure.
grown up in this you know post-apocalyptic world where they don't know anything, they don't know any
Yeah.
better, and so some pyrotechnics and all that just they're very easily tricked. And of course,
Yeah.
that's the whole point of why they follow him is they're easily tricked and
Right.
manipulated.
Right.
Um, and then we get really what is the climactic moment is he's Ray Fiennes going to sell this whole thing by saying, "All right, I've got 3 commands to give to you, and then you have to leave me." And
Yeah.
it's all to build up Jack O'Connor's character. You got to follow my son. You got to do what he says. And Jack O'Connor's clearly like primed him, giving them these instructions to pass
Hmm.
on. And then he notices the others are wearing masks. He kind of notices like there's this little this one's kind of small and like something behind the eyes in this mask. And he goes and takes the mask off and sees it's Spike. And between that and Jack O'Connor just really pushing it just a step too far by saying,
Yeah.
"Let me just let's be clear. You're telling me to continue skinning people alive and torturing, and their screams and pain are going to serve you." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, is that what I'm commissioning right
Yeah.
here?"
Right. Right.
Uh, and then he sees Spike, and that's when he's like, "Oh no, I can't do this. I
Yeah.
can't send these people off with this mission and with Spike there." And then he does this great. "I've got one more command." And Jack Connor's like, "No, I think
No, no, you
you
don't.
got
I
this.
don't know.
I think we're good." And he goes, and it's a really well played. He goes, just like my enemy commanded that his son be crucified, I require the same. And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, well played." And so now, Jack, you just helped. I'm just calling them the actors' names. I know, Jack, you just sold this guy as your dad, as Satan, the guy you're all following, and he just gave the order to have you crucified. So what are you
Yeah.
gonna do now?
Yeah.
And his group's kind of torn because he goes, "They'll crucify you for me," and I was like, all of that really worked. It's a lot of buildup to get to that working,
It
which is why
is.
I'm still not sure the movie itself works.
Right.
Like that in and of itself, I thought was good. It's just, yeah, is it worth the whole long buildup to have that payoff?
Yeah, I mean that definitely is a question. And like I said, no doubt. Like I'm not yeah, that stuff is good. And like that little chess match between Ray Fiennes and Jack O'Connell is all good and stuff. It's just like I said, I'm going to keep using this word. It's all just taking place in such a weird, strange movie. And so maybe I don't yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, like your word is great or just yeah, I don't know. The whole movie's just a little off-putting with just how weird everyone is. And um I think another difference too, like the other movies all felt big, like we're dealing in this virus, and this is a very small, like you said, a small contained movie, and that is fine. I'm usually in favor of a small contained movie, but it's all about just maybe it's how quickly 28 years later and this came out, and just how quickly you're supposed to kind of shift your expectations.
Yeah. I guess the thing that's supposed to be really big in this movie, as far as in terms of the series, is it does seem like the doctor kind of finds a cure for the
Hmm.
zombie disease. The problem is, it seems like he finds it and then he dies. And so you're like, oh man, like, so is this supposed to be like basically a real tragedy where, hey, the one guy who just figured this out is now dead and he didn't even have a
Just
chance to tell anybody like what happened?
and maybe that's also part of my problem too. Like, we're now, well, this is what, the fourth movie in this series?
Fourth movie.
Fourth
Yeah.
movie in this series. So the potential of finding a cure for this virus should probably feel like kind of a big deal. And that also just kind of fell a little flat in this movie to me.
Yeah, well, they certainly that whole storyline kind of took a back seat to the climactic storyline of the confrontation between
Hmm.
the Satanist and the Doctor, and I kept thinking, oh, I think what's always going to happen here is Samson's going to come back when they're in peril, but he's going to have the awareness now to know that's his Doctor friend, and he's going to dispatch the Satanist, but does not happen. He basically just has disappeared for the duration of the climax,
Right.
and yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of looking forward to seeing Samson come and just rip Jack O'Connell into shreds. But yeah, we didn't get that.
No. Uh, Instead, we get,
Samson was busy like quietly reflecting on a train somewhere.
yeah. And it was a little interesting. Like, he was clearly returning some of his humanity to him,
Yes.
so much so that he went from being the alpha to like the other zombies started attacking him.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah.
that raises all kinds of questions because it's like, well, can he get like re zombified when they're biting him and stuff? And, you know,
Right.
just is
Yeah, because it
just as
definitely he definitely
strong as can he fight him back? Like, yeah.
yeah. One of them takes a big old bite out of his neck on that train.
Yep. And it kind of like there's a moment where he's just getting swarmed, and I actually thought like, well, that's a bold move where they're basically going to say like, yeah, he got cured just enough to get killed, but then it does
Hmm.
show him exit the train like he's the one who came out of it,
Yeah.
survived. But yeah, just it leaves a lot of questions. This movie is certainly a movie that is confident that the third one in this grouping is happening because not
Well,
only does it really leave on a cliffhanger with Samson, then it leaves with the real cliffhanger at the end of the movie.
yeah, it does, which I guess we can go ahead and you've already given your spoiler
Yeah,
alert, so
yeah. So at the end of the movie, really kind of an abrupt again shift. It's almost as a bizarre like ending tacked on as the first one when the Jimmies show up.
yeah.
Not as weird, but just
Not
like
near as weird.
we're
No.
doing this now. It's just more of
Yeah.
a we're doing this now. Is that Killian Murphy shows up,
He's
and of
back. Yeah.
course those who know he was the star of the first one, 28 Days Later, and his character never appears again in the next two sequels.
Yeah.
And but there he is, and it's him and uh, at least a daughter character, if not his actual daughter, in the movie,
Right.
who he's preparing for an exam, and it just seems like they have this nice little quiet life. And then they see some people being chased by zombies out in the field, presumably Spike and this other girl. I think
I
you
assume
only see
so,
them from
yeah.
a distance, but it looked like they were
Yeah.
dressed the same.
Yes, it did.
And the daughter asks, are we going to help them? And he pauses, for just a second, and then he goes, "Of course we are." And that's where the movie ends. And you're like,
Movie
"Oh,
over.
okay." Like, yeah, it would be really weird if we don't get another one after that. But man, I got to tell you, Andy, I am so very curious how this movie's going to do, box office wise,
Oh, I can tell you.
because I mean, please do because
So, really, really disappointing opening weekend. It only made $13 million this weekend in the United States. 28 years later, that just came out 6 months ago, seven, whatever it is, in June, opened to 30 million. So this was a
yeah,
50+% drop from 28 years later. And then so another way to say it is worldwide this weekend, the Bone Temple made $30 million and worldwide. 28 years later made $30 million opening weekend just in the United States. So it's off to a really poor start.
and that's kind of what I expected.
Yeah.
I was talking to again a friend about this, and I said I'll be really curious to see how this does because I think 28 years later there was the long time gap it had that little bit of name recognition. You know,
It had an
Zombie
amazing
Apocalypse was a
trailer.
great trailer, and
Yeah.
like I'm not surprised that it did well. But I think a lot of people then came to the movie and was like, oh, this is a different kind of movie, and
Hmm.
this one's coming right on the heels of it. It's no longer, oh, I wonder what they're doing. It's more like, hey, did you like the last one enough to do this again? And
Yeah.
that's really what I was curious about: is are people after the last one, are they in again? Are they, or is it going to be kind of a, yeah, you kind of fooled me with the last one, and I'm not going to be fooled this time.
Yeah. I think too, I really believe it plays into this opening weekend that the last scene of 28 years later was just that really weird scene of, we didn't know it at the time, but the Jimmies. Like that was just so weird and out of place that I think that deterred a lot of people from going back to this one. And I mean, the numbers don't lie, and there's no way to spin it. This is a bad opening weekend for this movie.
Yeah, I think between not knowing what to do with the Jimmies, that's definitely I think the biggest thing. But also just a lot of the preview is showing, the Ray Fiennes character being weird, and it's like, well, I don't know what his character. We kind of did everything I thought we could with him
Yeah.
in the last movie. Like, and
Yeah.
granted, I do like what they did with the character in this movie, but going in, I was kind of like, I don't know that I felt like I needed more of his character, but uh, I do love Ray Fiennes though. That's the thing. I just don't know
I,
if general audiences are like, I love Ray Fiennes.
yeah. I mean, he's not a Chalamet level box office draw or anything. But and that's
I
the
don't
other
know.
thing too. Like I saw this trailer actually just last weekend when I went to see Primate. They showed the Bone Temple trailer, and I already knew I was going to go see it for this podcast. But I was just trying to objectively watch that trailer, and I was like, this is just not a compelling trailer. It's just not.
No, and kudos, like, cutting trailers is hard. That's one
Hmm.
reason why I'm so daggum impressed with the trailer for 28 years later, because
Hmm.
that was probably a hard trailer to cut, and yet they made an amazing trailer. This is another one where I'm like, this was probably a hard trailer to be like, I don't know, how are we going to present this
Yeah.
movie and this story? They just didn't have the success finding that way like they did in the last one.
Yeah. And now, big problem is what do they do with this planned third movie? Because this movie, like you can just already tell, like this is not going to be a movie that has like some amazing box office holdover next weekend. Like it's just not. People who wanted to go see
Yeah.
it went to see it this weekend, and it just wasn't that many people. It just wasn't. So I don't know if they're just going to scrap this last one because I don't know. I saw 60 million. I think I saw 60 million for the budget for this movie.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
it's going to have to fight scratch and claw just to hit that worldwide. So I don't know what you do. It's a tough spot to be in if you're the studio. Do you just go, all right, well, never mind. We're not making this third movie.
Yeah, I the only thing that I can imagine if it gets made is if it's just already all lined up. If it was already kind of contractually obligated out.
Right. Yeah. I
Because I don't
don't
know.
know.
I,
Of
I
course,
mean,
the
they
inner
shot
workings.
they shot these two basically back to back, and I don't think they've done anything with the third. But yeah,
I don't think
if
so
it's
either.
just dependent on how these perform, it's hard to imagine it would get greenlit.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Sometimes you just tell all the story you need to tell within a certain world.
Yeah,
This is our fourth 28
yeah,
whatever movie, and maybe that just needs to be enough.
yeah. It might need to be. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I also think we should talk about the director of this movie because I've now seen three of her movies. She's done four, I think,
Okay.
mainstream movies, and I've not liked any of the three movies that I've seen from her. And we're not here to slam
Okay.
people. We don't like to be negative, but she did the Candyman reimagining or remake or whatever it was. I thought that was just a very forgettable movie. She did The Marvels, which is the cat. Whoa.
Oof. Yeah. Sorry. I'm having slight audio issues. Sorry if that's bothering other people, but I think we're good now.
Are we good? All right. She
Yeah,
did The
we're good.
Marvels, which
Sorry.
is okay. Captain Marvel 2, which is like Marvel, the MCU's biggest money losing movie ever. It lost like $200 million. And now this, and like those are just three movies that just aren't very good.
Yeah, this is actually the first one that I've seen because I skipped the Marvels. I didn't watch the Candyman movie.
Yeah.
So this was my first exposure. I don't know. Like, I mean, when you say it like that, like if it's your third one with her and it's this, I could see why you're kind of out. But because this is my first one, and I didn't really think the problem was direction. I don't know. I have a hard time putting my finger on the problem because I maybe it's just my hesitance to just blame Alex Garland because I love Alex Garland,
I do love Alex Garland
but
as well, but yeah.
it is a bit like, man, Alex, like you're so weird. And I like again, I respect so many things about it. I respect that. I do feel like it's smartly written. I think there's cleverness in the story about like a young man whose father was a religious fanatic and then he experiences a zombie apocalypse and the exploration of like what does that kid grow up to be like?
Hmm.
Probably like this crazy religious, you know, kind of creates his own thing because he doesn't have enough information as a kid. He's just got like what he knew as a kid and then blows it out. And, you know, how that clashes with this doctor character. Of course, I don't know, seems to be a very, it's a profoundly anti religion movie, I would say.
Hmm.
You know, the
Sure.
religious people are these crazy Satanists. Not,
Yeah.
you know, most people are against Satanists, but, anyways, Satanists versus the calm, rational doctor who is the
Hmm.
hero of the movie, kind of saves the day. Um, but yeah, it is. I don't know. Maybe it is Alex Garland's fault that I don't like this movie because he's taking such big, weird swings.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, I'm not trying to bash this director because I don't think any of those three movies like they're not like, oh, she is talentless. I'm just saying like she's now made three movies that I just thought were underwhelming, maybe is a good word for it. I'm not sitting here saying like she
Yeah.
doesn't know how to direct, like, but they all three, and they've, Marvel's, like I said, was a humongous flop. I think the Candyman movie just really didn't make a whole lot of an impact one way or another. And now this one's looking like it's going to be pretty disappointing. So tough beat for her.
Yeah, it is. Um, man, I don't know. Like this movie was about exactly the level I thought it would be. Following
Hmm.
28 years later, which both of us described as just very middle of the line.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. Like the good is really good, but the bad there's a lot of it,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And this just really follows that line. One thing I do want to talk about, I feel like we kind of have to talk about before we wrap up, is just Jack O'Connell back to back years playing villains that are very eccentric and memorable. And
Yeah.
Jack O'Connell was a guy who before last year, before Sinners, was like, oh yeah, I know the name, but he's one of those guys that when I'd see him in a movie, I'd always go, I know this guy. Who is he? Look it up. Oh, Jack O'Connell. He's the guy I always had to
Hmm.
look up to remind myself who he was. And now it's like I know who this guy is. But
Oh,
man,
yeah, for
talk
sure.
about playing playing the vampire character in Sinners last year, and then playing this character in this movie this year. This guy's like he's gunning for Mount Rushmore of villain actors or something.
Absolutely. And this dude is just not afraid to go big. I mean, in Sinners, there's parts where it's just an extended like dance sequence and him singing and stuff. Like he's definitely not afraid to take big risks, and he does a really good job of I don't know what the right word is, but like just this, kind of like controlling, manipulative type of villain, and he's got that charm
Yeah,
to him
and
a little bit. So
yes, has just enough charisma that you're like, I get why
like,
people,
like I can see how he could get people to
could
follow him.
follow him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and but yeah, can play menacing. Again, I love the scene when he first meets Ray Fiennes because he almost looks a little scared. You know, like he's
Yeah,
when he asks him, he's like, "Are you? Was he call him Old Nick?" And he
old
just
Nick.
has
Yeah.
this look like, "Are you about to say yes?" And then I'm gonna freak out. Like,
Yep. Yeah, he's
really,
he's
yeah,
great.
he's
Yeah.
a talented guy.
He is really talented guy. Definitely
Yeah,
someone I want to keep my eye on. See what he does next.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. And, a lot of times these actors are like, what they should do is mix it up, play a villain in the next movie. I'm like, maybe Jack O'Connell, mix it up, play a really good guy in the next
Just
movie.
play a
Just see
good
how
guy.
that
Play a
goes.
nice guy, yeah.
Like the nicest guy ever. And
Yeah.
the whole time the movie, the audiences will be like, "What's happening?" It'd be kind of
Is he
like
gonna start
Bill
skinning someone
Skarsgård
alive?
in the movie. Yeah, Bill Skarsgård did the movie Barbarian, and the whole like kind of trick on people who've been watching movies is
Yeah.
Skarsgård's actually just going to be an okay guy in this one, but you're going to keep thinking because it's Skarsgård. What's he about to do?
Yeah, that whole movie premise was built around like you cannot trust this guy. Turns out you can trust that guy in Barbarian. So yeah. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah,
really interesting to see what he does next.
for sure. And then because give him a little shine, shouting him out. I do want to just say, because I've mentioned I love Ray Fiennes. Not many people, the average moviegoer doesn't know Ray Fiennes. In fact, I had someone today ask me, like, Ray Fiennes, what do I know him from? And I just thought for a second and I go, he's Voldemort. And they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, that's
Yeah,
probably what most people, if they had to
sure.
connect who Ray Fiennes is, who aren't movie people. And I'm like, I would rather list 10 other movies than that one. But if I'm trying to get people to know, that's,
Yeah.
you know, what I say. But I love Ray Fiennes because he's one of those guys that naturally comes across like very smart and sophisticated.
Hmm.
But I love that he's not afraid to be like weird and doofusy in movies. I mean, even a few years ago doing The Menu, which is a movie that we both really enjoyed, and The Menu is a
Yes.
weird movie,
It's
and
a
it's
really weird movie.
dark comedy horror movie or whatever, and just his willingness to be that, and in that
Yeah.
it. I can't help but feel like, again, because the air he puts out is like this feels beneath him, but like he's totally okay with it.
He's got a really interesting career. I mean, he's like the bad guy in Red Dragon, and he's really going for it in that
Yeah,
movie. And like, he's definitely not afraid to go big. That's for sure.
yeah. So, and I genuinely think he's one of our best working actors. I just think
Oh,
he's
absolutely. He's,
very,
I say
very
this
good.
sometimes. Yeah, just one of those guys that's incapable of being bad in a movie. Like the movie might be bad, but he's
Yeah,
always good in the movie.
yeah. And then I did want to shout out Emma Laird is the name of the actress who plays the sort of more sadistic Jimmy girl that she does
Mm-hmm.
the Teletubby dance and then she fights the guy. Just
Yeah.
because she's in the show Mayor of Kingstown, and
Mm-hmm.
I really like the show Mayor of Kingstown, and so it's like
Yeah.
when I see her, that's what I think of. Oh, it's the girl from Mayor of Kingstown, and I don't know. I thought she did a very good job in this movie being that sort of crazy
Yeah, she was.
character. She also popped up in The Brutalist, but I didn't like that movie, so I don't care about that.
Yeah, exactly. I will say too to give kudos to my guy who plays Samson. Like that dude is just a giant, and he definitely has a.
He is.
Never mind. He just has a very distinct look. Uh, he is large in stature. Jeremy is what I'm talking about. You are. Look at you. You are derailing us right now.
I apologize. The good news is we're at the point in the podcast most people aren't paying
Most people have
attention
probably
anymore.
tuned out.
So
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that guy has a look.
he has a look. You're right. I'm very curious to see if that guy continues to be in movies and do things.
Yeah,
If this
like you would
becomes sort
think
of
this.
a yeah.
I mean, it's
It
probably some
kind
of
of
it's
reminds me
probably
of like I am not at all projecting that he would have this sort of career jump, but like Jason Momoa was in Game of Thrones playing a character who didn't talk very much, and when he did talk was another language and grunty. It was just a physical, and then all of a sudden, dude just blows up as this huge actor. I'm not saying this guy would do that, but like, could it be something similar where we look back and be like, oh, remember when he was in the 28 Years movies and he was just playing big, gruff alpha zombie? I don't know. Yeah,
Did you lose me
I
completely?
I I did. I lost for a second, so uh, we're just gonna wrap it up here because what's gonna happen is you're gonna say things and I'm gonna have no idea what you said, and it's gonna sound really weird when we're back and forthing. But uh, yeah, thank you everybody for joining us, and my gosh, we'll be better next time. That's what I'll say.